What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today, while we're all still waiting for that Season 17 trailer to drop, I wanted to go over my 5 favorite weapons throughout this entire season. So I am including weapons that came from the Witch Queen expansion and Season of the Risen. So we have stuff from the Throne World, seasonal activities, the raid, the world loot pool, all of that stuff is included. These are the weapons that I ended up using the most in the highest variety of activities, from normal grinding strikes all the way to Grandmaster Nightfalls and Master Raids, all of that stuff. These are my 5 favorites. So let's start things out here with a few honorable mentions. Because honestly, it was pretty hard to get this list down to only 5. There was a lot of good weapons added over this space of time. So my first honorable mention is gonna go to the Cantata 57. This Suros arc hand cannon has time payload, and guys, like, I am a slut for time payload and explosive payload on hand cannons. Holy crap. Guaranteed 10 to 15% extra damage and infinite range on that explosive damage, and you can combine that with rapid hit. Are you serious? I ended up using this thing a lot. The reason it's an honorable mention is because there's an arc hand cannon from the Last Wish raid that can get explosive payload and outlaw, so the only reason I'm using this is because I don't have that role on that. So there you go. Now the next honorable mention is actually going to be this Duty Bound. I really didn't go for this until the Adept version was available later in the season, but using this in Grandmasters, holy crap, stunning recovery makes a big difference. Like, being able to take hits from overload champions, stun them, get that instant health regeneration. Like, let me tell you guys, it was really noticeable. So I think moving forward, weapons with this stunning recovery perk from Nightfalls are actually going to be pretty viable when doing things like Grandmasters and really any activity where champions are present. Now, the next honorable mention actually goes to the Fell Taradiddle. I ended up using this thing a lot with Archer's Tempo plus explosive head, and just being a lightweight frame and also being able to pick the perfect string and everything to get that draw time incredibly low, so you're shooting very fast. This was really good against barrier champions, and really all enemies did use this thing in Grandmasters. Really ended up liking it a lot. And my last honorable mention is actually the Forbearance here. Some of you may be surprised this isn't on the list, but with Ambitious Assassin and Chain Reaction, and the first time ever Chain Reaction has been present on a wave frame grenade launcher, this thing was fantastic. I just didn't end up using it as much as I thought I would because Void was really the hotness this season, so I expect my usage rate of this thing to skyrocket as soon as Arc 3.0 hits the game. But let's get on to the actual list, guys. Coming in at number 5, we're actually going to have the Cataclysmic Linear Fusion Rifle. So this thing is absolutely fantastic, and especially since Bait and Switch got buffed, I did a video breaking down how much better this thing is now with the Bait and Switch combo. So 35% bonus damage when you activate Bait and Switch for like 10 seconds, and enhanced Bait and Switch lasts even longer. I should probably update that, to be honest. Combined with the fact that you can get 4th times the charm as well as enhanced battery, so you get 6 rounds in the mag, which means 4th times triggers twice, which means you're shooting 10 times before you need to reload. Just insane. So 9 of those 10 rounds, because one has to activate Bait and Switch, are going to be doing massive damage. This is now, I think, arguably the best linear fusion rifle in the entire game, and yeah, it is just a really good weapon. I ended up using this thing a lot, mainly in raids, but hey, that's the endgame content, so if this thing is bumping in raids, it's a very good weapon. However, guys, we've got to move on to number 4, and that's actually going to be the Explosive Personality Grenade Launcher. So I think of all the seasonal weapons, this is the best one. Now I do have the role here of auto-loading holster plus frenzy, but you absolutely don't need to go with this role. This has a lot of viable perks, just these go well together because you can trigger frenzy while the weapon is stowed, and then that means when you whip it out, it's reloaded and frenzy is active. Obviously, again, these things go together very well. Also, this is one of the best weapons for the land tank origin trait, getting extra damage resistance and resilience, which is going to, especially on a Titan, like your class ability should just recharge faster if you have an extra tier or so of resilience, so that's really going to matter. But I mean, it's so easy to get multi-kills with a wave frame grenade launcher, so you're going to be up to land tank times 2, times 3, almost always with a single shot. So really, really viable weapon. And again, like I still use this thing a lot. Actually, I used it quite a bit in master raids because there was a lot of solar shields, and this was a great go-to weapon to destroy those solar shields and keep on top of adds. But really, when Solar 3.0 comes out, whoo, this thing is gonna be absolutely cracked to the max. Like, this is probably the #1 weapon I would recommend getting crafted before Season 17 drops, just in case Season 17 does have Solar 3.0. But guys, it's time to move on to number 3 on the list, and that is the Submission Submachine Gun from the Vow of the Disciple raid. Now, some of you, I'm sure, expected this to be even higher, but like seriously, this is such a darn good weapon. And again, this has many good roles. You can go with Subsistence here, or Overflow. Either one would be fantastic, and I do really like Frenzy with this thing, especially getting that reload increase. Even with Subsistence, you're going to end up reloading quite a bit, so that faster reload, that increase to damage, such a good weapon. And the origin trait healing you when you do get those reloads, it is just wonderful to spray down a bunch of enemies and get a actually pretty significant chunk of health back. Really does help with your survivability. Now, this one's only level 10 again because I was obviously using the natural drops I got until I unlocked the crafted version. But again, the fact that you can craft this thing and give it the perfect perks you want is just the icing on the cake. And yeah, this is probably one of, if not the best of the raid weapons moving forward, and just in terms of it's so easy to use, it's going to be relevant in a variety of activities. Such a good weapon. However, moving on from there to number 2, we actually have another lightweight frame SMG. Guys, I mean, since the days of the Recluse, lightweight frame SMGs have been one of the best archetypes of weapons in the entire game. They're just so good at killing adds, at dealing with those red bars, which is really what you want your primary to do. But the Funnelweb, I think, comes slightly ahead of the Submission just because, man, it was relevant this season because of Void 3.0, especially if you got the role with Adrenaline Junkie. Guys, like, the Vortex Grenade is like, so, it is broken, okay? It is by such an incredible margin the best grenade for PvE. It's not even funny. So if you get Adrenaline Junkie, so you get a kill with your Vortex Grenade, which is like, how do you not get a kill with your Vortex Grenade? It's sucking dudes from a mile away and then killing them. You know, it's just absolutely crazy. So this ×5 gives you a substantial damage increase. Perpetual Motion or Subsistence, either one would be fantastic for just keeping up that ammo. And Vice Stinger is great as well, like potentially just randomly, you know, doubling the magazine almost is great. And the fact they can potentially even trigger twice, I've shot a Funnelweb for quite a few rounds before eventually needing to reload. So yeah, absolutely love this thing. One of the best guns in the entire game coming out of this season. But guys, it's time to move on to number 1, and I think the top slot really belongs to the Palmyra-B. Like, if I'm being totally honest, just based on how often this thing was equipped in my loadout, it was just all the time. So this is actually like a world drop weapon, however, it's also craftable. So it's pretty easy to unlock. You only need 2 red border Palmyras to then begin to craft it. And that's actually insane because giving new players, I actually had a friend who just started playing again. I was like, dude, can you craft the Palmyra? He's like, oh yeah, I can. I was like, craft it, level it up, whatever you can, because the fact that you get to put on impact casing for that little bit extra damage. You then get to put on specifically auto-loading holster, or I think it can even get ambitious assassin, which would be good too. And then you can specifically pick lasting impression or explosive light for that damage increase. Makes this such an incredible weapon. Like, rocket launchers have such an incredible neutral game in PvE. Like, they're relevant in pretty much every activity. I was using this Palmyra in stuff like the legendary campaign, all the way up to master raids like easy rocket swapping with the Palmyra. Not to mention that this thing is a Haka precision frame, so it's got built-in tracking, making it so easy to use. And the Haka breach armaments, where it does bonus damage against vehicles, turrets, barricades, and crystals. This has come up because a lot of random PvE enemies are vehicles. The best example, Shriekers. Shriekers are vehicles. So the fact that you can like one-shot all of them with this thing is very, very important. So yeah, absolutely love the Palmyra-B. It was usable up to the very, very end game. And like, again, the fact that it was so accessible that brand new players can craft this thing pretty early and have such a viable weapon, I think it absolutely deserves the #1 spot. But what do you guys think? Were there any weapons that you used a ton that you think deserve to be on this list? Let me know in the comment section down below. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, found informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.